Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We've got a couple of movies up for review, and another MCU movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, the latest one. Now, don't get me wrong, I actually like Ant-Man quite a lot. I like Paul Rudd as an actor. He's a funny guy. He's a nice guy. I love most of the movies that I've seen him in. I think possibly every movie that I've seen him in. And I like Ant-Man. The first movie is pretty funny, pretty good. The second one, not so much, and I think this one is my least favorite. And also because I kind of hate the actor who's playing the villain. Don't like the villain character either. But despite all that, I believe this movie does, and this is the odd part, it does really fantastic graphics and a lot of special effects. But all that just seems silly, and what the heck is that in the quantum realm? I really don't get the world that they've created in the quantum realm, and it just seems very almost childish, I should say. Well, it is from the comics after all. But for the most part, a lot of the MCU movies were pretty awesome, and I think they're starting to lose their way, especially with this focus on the new villain that is Kang, and I am not impressed. I don't like the bugger. I don't like the actor at all, so I'm kind of disappointed in this, that they're going with him as the main villain for the next set of movies, including the Avengers that's coming up. Because I hated him in what was that Loki series. I thought it was rather weak. I would say here is a little better, more intimidating, but I cannot stand the actor. I cannot stand the acting that he does, and I don't really buy this Kang the Conqueror character at all. I mean, he's really one of the worst villains I've ever seen, and that's not saying that he's the evilest. He's just the worst. So along with Paul Rudd as Scott Lang Ant-Man, you've got Evangeline Lilly coming as the Wasp, Hope Van Dyne along, and you've got of course Kirk Douglas returns as her father and the original Ant-Man. You've also got Michelle Pfeiffer playing the mother character, the original Wasp. You've got Corey Stoll, who's in the most comedic kind of villain possible, and that's another thing which I find ridiculous in this particular movie. It just looked out of place in the MCU the moment that we are right now. Excuse me, the moment that the kind of stage that we are right now just looks really ridiculous, and that's my whole problem with this film. You've also got Jonathan Majors, like I mentioned. I can't stand the bugger. Catherine Newton, David Dastmalchian, Katie O'Brien, William Jackson Harper, Bill Murray in a small role, and yeah, that's about it. So they basically are accidentally transported to the quantum realm, and they get to face off against Kang the Conqueror, who we learned that Michelle Pfeiffer's character Janet Van Dyne, who was trapped for around 30 years or something like that in the quantum realm earlier, she had actually met the exiled Kang, and they almost had a friendship going. The actress who plays Cassie, I heard a lot of people were kind of disappointed with this character. They found her to be annoying. What's the name of the actress, by the way? Catherine Newton, who's now 18 years old, very similar to her dad. I didn't find her to be that annoying, to be honest. Just a little bit of it. But it is odd to me now that all of them have got very similar suits and all that stuff. And to be honest, that's what's letting me down in a lot of these films, including, and this is not in the MCU, but Shazam, for example, where everybody's got the same, everybody's a superhero, and then everybody's superhero here. That's something which I saw in the DC TV series, where everybody had is a spandex or whatever wearing superhero with some kind of mutant powers. If not, they're at least fighting like a superhero. Um, Standout character, and because of all of this stuff, I actually felt that Paul Rudd was constricted in the movie as a hero. um, I don't think he really got the chance to really showcase himself because of the focus going everywhere. I I would actually have wanted to have more of him in the role, and Evangeline Lilly, by the way, because it's supposed to be both the Ant-Man and the Wasp, and hair's a little mess, um, and also like it didn't seem like a superhero movie to me, and this is the best way that I can actually explain it. It felt more like a fantasy film. Felt more like something from what is that now? And not in a good way. Something more like the never-ending story or something like that. That kind of thing. And yeah, I wasn't very happy with this film. Although I wouldn't call it boring. I felt like it had some moments where it was really funny, but overall it is a big thumbs down for me. I would give it a rating. Here's a problem. For me, okay, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. It is really bad. The storyline is really, I mean, the plot and all that stuff is not that great. But the performances from the major actors, except for Jonathan Majors, funny enough, I can't stand him. I don't like him. He's got a face like an ass, to be honest. That's what his face reminds me of. I do not like him, especially do not like him when he tries to portray emotion. He is the worst kind of actor for these kind of movies, and I'm really saddened that the MCU decided to use him as the main villain. I don't know what you see in the bugger. I could have had many actors who would have been much better, but they got this moron. And I heard that this guy's also got some issues with the law or something like that. Some issue. Oh, he's got some assault allegations, strangulation and harassment charges stemming from a domestic dispute with a 30-year-old woman who had minor injuries and neck. And so he was released from custody. Okay, seems like an asshole. I was right. Anyway, so sorry about that's not there. But yeah, very disappointed. I would give this a 6.5 out of 10, especially for the absolutely crappy villain. Thank you.